Hello, everyone. We are going to have a special episode of the ConquerCast this week. It's actually one we recorded last year. It went out last year, but I'm going to bring it forward. I want people to dive into this. If you haven't heard it yet, dive into the Ben Kjar standout story. His film is actually out in select theaters, just launched into some theaters this last week. We want to give him some love and some attention. He spoke at our Conquer Summit last year. It will inspire you. It will make you feel like you can run through a brick wall. Take your family, take your children, take your neighbors. Everyone will benefit from this film. My own children walked away from it saying how inspired they felt, how much more they wanted to do, how much more they felt they could be, and all that they wanted to become. And if you can go and experience something like that and it inspires you in such a way, it's something you need to share. So I wanted to bring that forward, share it a little bit more, highlight it a little bit more so that you can go and be blessed by this incredible story of Ben Kjar. Check it out. Welcome back to another episode of the ConquerCast. I am blessed today to be here with Ben Kjar. Ben is an incredible individual. This is the first time meeting in person. I've known about him for quite some time. In fact, I think we rode in the same car to a wrestling match way back in the day. It was my last wrestling match, but I think, obviously Ben's gone on to become a world champion wrestler. I didn't make it that far. But now there's an incredible film out about Ben and his story called STANDOUT. It's taking the world by storm. Make sure you look for it coming to your local theaters. And an incredible speaker. I was able to listen to Ben speak about, I don't know, it's a few months ago at the Iron Cowboys event, and I literally felt like I was ready to run through a wall. And I came back, I told my team all about it, and I said, we've got to get this guy up to inspire our team. I sent a message out at the beginning of this week letting the team know that you'd be here. We'd be podcasting. You're going to work out with us after this. And multiple people chimed in just saying, hey, I know who he is. I've watched his story. I've done that. Everyone needs to be there. You've got to meet this guy. So for those listening, maybe some of you know him. If you don't, be ready to be inspired. This is an incredible man, a man of faith, man of God, a father, a husband, an extremely talented athlete, and one who's been through some challenges in life and has come out conqueror. This podcast is all about conquering, and so you're going to hear some things that will help you learn to conquer more in your own life. Ben, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited. I've heard so much about you and your incredible company from so many people. So to be here in this rad studio talking about just things that move the world, what better things to talk about than that, man?
I love it. Yeah,
no small talk.
I agree. We're gonna go deep, and we'll get into some things. With all those accomplishments, I just kind of mentioned some of them. There's the titles, and there's achievements, and there's this and that. How would you describe who you are?
Oh man, so many times in my life I've had the opportunity to make a decision to buy into me and stand out. So many times in my life, because I was born with something called Crouzon syndrome, which is a facial difference, I had a choice to be like, is this a curse or is this an absolute blessing? I was just at a conference the other day in California where we showed the film and we took a Q&A, and there are so many people there with a facial difference that have decided to just either fit in or just lower their standards.
Wow.
And that is not what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
And so who am I? I believe I'm a victor of light and a person that has chosen to flex exactly what God gave him. And I didn't do that for a lot of my life.
Okay.
I thought it was a curse. I would literally pray at night, God, please, when I wake up in the morning, if you're a just God, you'll know that this facial difference should be gone. And thinking that I could like push him into that, and talk him into that, and thinking that's what my prayer of negotiation should be.
Wow.
And then I'd wake up, I'd look in the mirror, I'm like, didn't you listen? Like, weren't you there? What was prayer for? And realized that prayer was communication oftentimes for me to hear myself.
Interesting.
Victim, complain, instead of finding the absolute gift of how the world was working for me in Crouzon syndrome. I tell you what, Trevor, I'm not sitting here with you today. I don't have a documentary out. My story's not the same if I wasn't born with Crouzon syndrome.
Yeah.
Now, if God answered a prayer and said, Ben, by the way, sorry for the delay. Tomorrow morning, your face can be, you won't have Crouzon syndrome anymore. I would tell him that I don't need that anymore because it's been such a gift. It really has.
It's amazing. When you were in those moments of praying for that to change, how old were you? When was this going on in your life?
All grown up. So it really started for me when I understood that they were making fun of me. So it would be in elementary, junior high, and there was an awareness.
Yeah.
Now, kids would say stuff all the time, and I would start to get used to it, and I would start to kind of make fun of myself as well, just to kind of get through it and cope with it. Yeah. But when adults came to me and started like tearing into me verbally, that was it. That was the moment where I'm like, this isn't meant for me. It's not meant for anybody. I'm checking out.
Adults would approach you and make fun of you.
Yeah. And I wish they would approach me.
Okay, they would.
It would be worse.
Okay.
They would look at me in the corner of a room, and they would grab people around them, and they would point them out. In the documentary, there is just one of the situations that changed my life in Centerville, in the grocery store. I went to go check out of a grocery store buying a Twix. I'm by myself, felt like I was king of the world, saved up all this money. I went to the store. I was the man, right? And this man, who knows better, with his boy and his girl about my age, were standing in front of me. And he just grabbed him and just annihilated me verbally. And I didn't have anywhere to go. There was no car keys. Like, I wasn't old enough to, I just sat there and took it. My feet were bricks. I just felt like I couldn't move. I closed my eyes, folded my arms, and just squozed the Twix bar. And I remember just dropping the Twix bar, and my appetite for the Twix was like gone. I'd been looking forward to that chocolate all week, saving my money for who knows how long, and it was just changed in the matter of a moment. I remember when I when I opened my eyes, I thought that if I closed my eyes long enough, that when I opened it, he'd be gone. But in that moment, when I opened my eyes, he looked at me, grabbed his kids, put them behind him, and says, "Get away. Don't go near him and don't touch him because he's probably contagious."
Wow.
Like, let's go. Like he was getting away from a monster.
Oh, my goodness.
And in that moment, it would change my life because I would go home, my mom would be there. And it was in a moment where I locked myself in a bathroom and I tried to figure out a way to take my face off, cut my face off. Because I felt like if the difference was not there, I'm home free, right?
Wow.
I'm home free. My mom broke in and she did something that would change my life. Now, talking about conquering, right? These are the moments that will allow you to conquer whatever obstacle is in your way. And she was the agent for that. The conquering agent that poured into my life. She came in and she says, "Ben, listen, you're born different. So you're going to make a difference." And then she stood me up after we cried together and we looked in the mirror. And as we looked in the mirror together and she peered over my shoulder and she wiped my tears. And I didn't want to, like, inside my mind as we were looking in the mirror, I'm like, I don't want to be different. Like, you make it sound like it's a good thing, Mom. I just want to fit in. I just want to be normal. And in that moment, she's like, she grabbed my shoulders and she looked, she's like, "Hey, God doesn't make mistakes. There's a lot of people that just like beg for attention. You were not born to fit in. So you got to stand out." And right there, I was like, "Wow, let's go, Mom." And
you did. You felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the name of your documentary, is Stand Out.
Yeah. Yeah, with no chance of living an ordinary life, we get to choose how extraordinary our life is. Everyone, I don't care, no matter how much I speak, I look in the audience, I'm like, oh man, there's no facial differences out there. There's no kids with like, or people, adults with cauliflower ear like I have from wrestling. How am I going to connect? We all connect. We all have a path to conquer, all of us. And it comes down to pain.
Mm-hmm.
And how we get through that pain, how we conquer that pain, how we conquer these missions that we're born to just smash in life, right? And so we all get through that. We all choose new beginnings, not dead ends. We all choose gifts, not curses. We all choose victor, not victim mentality on a daily basis. Daily, literally. And so the question is, what are the things that you're chosen to conquer? What has God gifted you to conquer?
Yeah, that's incredible. And that, flexing what God gave you to flex. It's amazing. What a blessing to have a mother like you have. I'm sure they're your biggest fans, your mother and your father. It's kind of interesting. I was telling Ben earlier, his father was my first landlord as we started this business. It was right before Mountain Ops. It was our first supplement business. And I remember he was showing me the room that I would rent, and here was the month-to-month fee because I couldn't sign a contract. And he said, "Now you make sure to pay it, or else I'll come break your knees." Does that sound like something your dad would say? I don't know. I was just like, okay. And then he laughed. He's like, "I'm just messing with you." But how did your parents? So there was that moment with your mom, and she's telling you you're born to stand out. You're not. God does not make mistakes. That inspired something in you. You've got to have that reminder on a regular basis. Did they just continue? At what age was this? And how did they help you continue to foster that? Okay, I'm born to stand out. How did that come about? Because there's a lot of parents that will listen. Their kids are going through different things. Yeah. Maybe not this, but maybe bullying, whatever it is. Like how as a parent, how did your parents do that to help continue to inspire you to grow into those gifts and to recognize those gifts that God has given you?
Oh man, it's so good. Great questions. That was in elementary, so it was a perfect time where I'm figuring out who I am. Who am I supposed to be? Who do I want to be? Right? I'm a massive fan of positive self-talk. Everybody deserves to have it. Right? And imagine if your junior high aged girl or boy, child, was able to look in the mirror and have something, whether it's memorized, whether it's a song, a scripture, a poem, whatever it is, to easily have at the tip of your tongue during a hard time. If they were able to see themselves in the mirror and say something absolutely positive that comes back to inspire and just fulfill, that's powerful. Yeah. And so I remember hearing a guy named Tony Robbins at a young age, and he would go out, and he was this big guy, and I wasn't, right? I wasn't a big guy. But he could have been 5'3" like me, but it was his spirit that was a giant, right? And he had something that he called an incantation or a positive self-talk. Okay. And he would often just go out in front of these crowds and say, "Now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds." And he said, "Set a new standard. Step up, step up." And I memorized it. And so the question is, what do we do? Still. Borrow, borrow, borrow. Whatever you want to say until you create it. I borrowed something that was created by someone else that meant something so much for me. And I made it make sense. Now I am the voice. So why did that make sense? Why did that ring true for me? Because so many voices in the elementaries, in the grocery stores, were telling me, "You're a disease. He's contagious. Don't touch him. No wonder why he's at the grocery store alone. You don't have any friends." We get to put our own voice at the front and center of what we're hearing and seeing. until I created my own. And my own hits deeper for me because I created it. My first thing that I say and what I call my victory chant is, now I choose me. And some people are like, that seems like you're a prick. Like, why would you do that? Like, it seems selfish. Bro, some people think that self-worth is selfish. I call it self-mastery. I'll give you an example. You've heard of Oprah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Powerful woman. She's made a lot of moves in the world. It's been for incredible. She's done incredible things. So she's sitting in an interview, not much different than this. And the person across from her said, so I got a question for you, the interviewer. And she says, Oprah, the world is talking about you, and they say you're full of yourself. What do you say? Now, pause. I'm 40, almost 42. The older I get in my life, the more I come to want to know someone's intention quick.
Yeah.
Like real quick.
Yeah.
If you know their intention, you're going to know like what type of human they are.
Yeah.
And so she answered with intention. She said, interesting. What would they have me be? Would they rather have me be empty of myself instead of full of myself? I chose at a young age to say, now I choose me. Because you know what I did, Trev? I literally walked down the elementary, junior high, and even in the high school hallways. And it didn't stop. It carried on through college. But as much as I would let it, and I would choose to be Bobby, Brandon, Billy, version 2.0. If I could be them, if I could act like them, if I could smell like them, man, if I had the car that they had, if I lived where they did, if I was just that tall, man, if I just smelled like them, that I thought that life would be easier, man. I was completely hiding who God created me to be instead of flexing that. Finally, I'm like, screw that. God created me to be Ben Kjar, version 1.0. I'm going to choose me right now.
So powerful.
And when we choose that, we, like they say biblically, we take the light out from behind the bushel. And dude, we just don't like show a little bit of light. Oh, bro, we shine like a lighthouse on rough waters. So that those around us who are on the crazy storms of life can look at the lighthouse and be like, all right, that's where it's supposed to be. That's where I'm supposed to go. Or that's a good example. And what light are we showing? The intention is not that it's like, oh, look at me, baby. Look at me. Our purpose is literally shine and reflect the light of Christ. Right?
Yeah.
So what is that light? A lot of people are saying, oh, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means a lot of different things depending on who you think Christ is. Here's the Christ I know. The Christ I know had people who were seen as almost crazy around him, but they were intentional. His 12 homies, he knew that they would drop everything to be there. They were, I call them super fans or fanboys or cheerleaders. Imagine if we had friends that were like fanboys of us and there was no ego.
Yeah.
Not that we all have that, we're humans. But when we drop that and we're like, what do you need? I'll leave my boat. Let's freaking go. And they see purpose over like the prophets. They see the passion over like ego, right? And so they're willing to drop their boats. They're willing to drop their nets. They're willing to say, all right, let's go. There's a higher purpose right here. But this is what I want to get to. This is the Jesus that I know. This is the light that I want to reflect and shine. Jesus says, yo, homies, don't fall asleep on me. Please don't fall asleep on me. And they're like, okay. One homie takes off. You have the other 11 there. He's like, I just need you to watch my back. Nobody can do this for me. He walks into a garden called Gethsemane. He says, I'll be back in a minute. Just don't fall asleep on the job. He comes out after bleeding through every pore. One of the worst times of his life. He had to ask for heavenly help. That's how bad it was. And he basically said, yo, I can't do this. Like, please rescue me from this. But if not, send me somebody. And they did. He walks out and sees his 11 buddies sleeping on the job. He's like, I ask you one thing. Knowing what the other guy's doing. Trading him for the same coin that they were trading a slave for. In the moment of your darkest of time, this is the light of Christ that I believe we're meant to shine. What happens next? In other words, in the darkest of times, how do you react? This is the definition. They finally stumble to their feet. He's probably wiping off the sweat, which really is blood coming out of his pores. And there comes Judas. I can just imagine hearing the change in his pocket, and he knows exactly what it's from. Jesus does. Judas comes and kisses him. All of a sudden, the warrior comes up and unsheathes his sword, right, to get Jesus. And I imagine one of the buddies steps out and cuts off his ear. In the darkest of time, where you almost just died, physically, where you had to ask for heavenly help, where your buddies were sleeping on the job when all they had to do was do one job, and when one of your most closest friends sells you as a slave, he has the choice to fight back or heal. And he does that. He grabs the army's, he grabs the warrior's ear that was just cut off, and he puts it back on his head, knowing that he was the guy that was going to take him to death. Here's what we don't talk about. That soldier leaves, goes home that night with blood all over his shoulder. Probably walks into his wife, just like this. And she has food on the table. And as he walks in, she's like, what happened? And he says, I lost my ear today. She's like, what ear? What are you talking about? And he's like, I don't know how to do. He's like, I have to tell you a story. And he sits down. If you can imagine him telling his wife, I think we got the wrong guy today. You know? Because the dude that just healed my ear picked it up off the ground and put it back on my head. This one right here. It's more perfect than this one now. I just put him to death. In other words. That's the light of Christ we're meant to shine. In the moment of darkness, we choose kindness instead of eye for an eye, tooth for the tooth. In the moment of insignificance, in the moment of ego, in the moment of pride, in the moment of pain, in the moment of divorce, in the moment of addiction, in the moments of failure, in moments of whatever that is, we choose to put the ear back on instead of take the other ear off. Man, and I fall so short of that every day. But if we have a lighthouse in front of us to give us an example, then I think we can achieve it more.
Yeah, wow. You're a master storyteller, and hearing your testimony of Jesus Christ right there and how he's impacted your life and what you look for. Is that also something that your mother and father kind of instilled in you? Or where did this love for the Savior and this desire to shine his light come into play in your life?
That's a great question. Yeah, like people in life have trials, tribulations, right? My parents were not that. Holy cow, I was so gifted with them. So gifted. So they absolutely did that. But let me tell you how they did it.
Okay.
My dad and mom would wake us up for scripture study in the morning to talk about the word. And then we would pray at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And we all hated it. Right? We're like, no. We would rather be in bed. Those are the moments that didn't teach me.
Mm-hmm.
These were the moments that taught me. I think it was like a Saturday. It may have been at like 3 p.m., meaning it wasn't a breakfast, lunch, or dinner prayer time right before your meal moment.
Yep.
This was an off hour, if there's off hours for prayer. And I go to the top of the stairs, and I'm going back to my room, and right in front is a double door to go into my parents' master bedroom. And the door was a little bit open, and I heard my dad. And so as I turned the corner, 3 o'clock, Saturday, he's home. I thought he was talking to me. He was talking to someone. My mom's downstairs. I peek my head in the door, and my dad's kneeling on the ground at the foot of his bed, like proclaiming to God out loud, talking to God. He was going through some hard times, crazy economy. And it was when my dad did what he said, and in the quiet times when nobody else was watching, that's what stuck in my life for the next 3 decades.
Wow.
It wasn't the morning time where he forced us all to be down there. That was great practice. It really was.
Right.
And we knew what his priority was.
Right.
But it was the moment that he showed us when he thought nobody was watching.
Wow.
That was cool.
That is powerful. Wow, what incredible parents. I am just I knew where you were going when I heard him talking to someone, and it reminds me of my own father and my own mother and what I witnessed as a child as well. And they were good at the routines with us, but even better at just living that way. And we were talking earlier about, different speakers. You're speaking, you're traveling around the world speaking to different people. And those that really have the major impact on you are those that are truly walking the talk, and they're living true to what they are preaching. And you are that. You are very genuine, very authentic. You're helping people from a place of power because you've been through some things. I don't want to change topics. I think this will all just kind of come together, but I know there was surgeries, and then I know I want to get into your marriage story and children that you've brought into this world and that type of thing. Like, what's the best, how do we get to all of that in the best way? Because your story, I know we won't get to everything, but there's moments in your life where, there were a lot of surgeries. Yeah. Maybe talk us through that, and then talk us through, you found the love of your life. You've got an incredible companion, and then after we'll get into building a family. But
yeah, I love that.
Talk through some of that, and as much as possible, weave in your, we just talked about hitting rock bottom, and you said I've changed this. It's now a rock foundation, right? Like, tell us how that foundation has continued to build and strengthen, and I love anytime we can bring up Jesus Christ and that light and that love and that strength. So weave it all in as you go.
Totally. I love that, dude.
I want to keep quiet and just let you keep talking.
No, dude, this is great. This is awesome. Jump in, please jump in and give input. And I just believe that I've grown the most when I choose a new beginning and not a dead end.
Okay.
And people know what that is for them. People have higher or lower pain thresholds, and so you're going to know what that means for you. But I don't just think we hit that rock foundation or that new beginning. I think you celebrate it.
Okay.
So there were times after I met my wife, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but after I met my wife, there were times that me and my wife had those dead end moments, and we chose a new beginning. And what we decided, if we were going to be ready and feel capable to take on that challenge, to call it a new beginning, and that we chose that traveling would be that. You just said you got back from South Africa. You travel all over the world too. That was our new beginning celebration. So we thought that when that sucky failure happened, that we'd be like, that sucks. What's the new beginning? Let's go celebrate that. Instead of looking at the dead end, the fail, the suck all day and just wallowing and marinating in this junk, we decided to celebrate the new beginning. That changed me. But I didn't get to marriage without loving myself first. And the surgeries would come and they would have to happen for me just to allow my brain to grow, frankly.
So that's what it was for. They were reconstructing to allow the brain to continue to grow.
Many things. That was the major thing.
Okay.
Just so there wouldn't be any lack of growth.
Okay.
But Crouzon syndrome is the mid part of the face mostly.
Okay.
But the whole skull needs to be expanded manually because mostly the mid part of my face doesn't grow and affects the skull as well.
How many people suffer from this or go through this? It's pretty rare?
It's pretty rare. Yeah, it's pretty rare. And so it's cool, man. I was born like rare. That's what I'm talking about. You know? And so you buy into that, or you're like, I'm born rare. I'm different. I'm born to make a difference, baby. Like it's a gift, right? And so here's the thing. I remember the doctors coming to me after my second surgery. They're like, Ben, we need to have another surgery. I was in junior high. And they're like, man, like you put a finger in your mouth, you bite down, and you're not even touching your finger. Dude, you can't even and now your back teeth are like really wearing down thin because you can't even touch your teeth in the front.
Wow.
I'm like, you're right. And they said, you can't breathe very well because it's so collapsed. And your eyes are like popping out because your mid-face is so collapsed. You have no protection. If you get hit in any sport or anything, you could lose your vision. I'm like, dang. They're like, so when are we going to have our surgery? I remember going back to my vision board and my mission and my goals. And I looked on my goals. I'm like, well, one of my goals is to be a 3-time state champion. There'd never been a 3-time state champion in Viewmont High School where I was at. There'd never been anybody in my junior high that had been through all 3 years and never been defeated. I could do that. But I can't do it if I have a surgery right now because I would have to wait 2 or 3 years to heal. They would cut my head open, trach in my throat, wire my mouth shut after they pull it forward, take bones from my other parts of my body, and hopefully it stays.
Wow.
I remember going back to the doctor and saying, we're going to have to wait. And he's like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, bro, you got to have these just to function and breathing and eating. I said, my goals are too big. I said, I'm going to wait till after high school. I'm going to wait till after I accomplish my dreams. And then I'll have some time to heal before I go to college. They're like, you're crazy.
Wow.
Because they told me I may not be able to wrestle after.
Okay.
I don't want to risk that. So here's my question for everyone who's listening, wherever you guys are from, whether it's internationally or just next door. If your negotiation to your goals are about oh, you mean I can't have a donut 4 times a week? And you collapse to that because you have to have your donuts 4 times a week, it ain't strong enough.
Right.
If your goals, for me, my goal was so strong that I pushed off all this really danger for vision, for eating, for breathing. I was afraid that I would never be loved. Go to your local teenager and tell them they're going to look like a lot of people call them a freak at that age. Completely abnormal. People called me monster. Literally, mat side cheerleaders would say, he's a monster. He's a monster. He's your boyfriend. They'd make fun of me. And my coach, Shandell, would say, dude, when he needed to fire me up, he's like, yo, go show him. Go put on a show because people think here that you're mentally like handicapped. Go show them.
Mm.
Go show them how handicapped you are.
Wow.
And so, long story short, I believe if our goals can get pushed back because you don't want to wake up early to work out, or because your goals require you to eat a little bit more healthy,
Mm-hmm.
or to drive to a gym or practice that's a half hour away, or it requires you to be away from something that's comfortable. If you can't abide by those requirements, then you're probably not meant to conquer a bunch.
Mm.
And so, what are we willing to put ourselves through to
Yeah.
do that?
It's awesome. Wow, man. So you postponed it all.
Yeah, we push it all back.
Pushed it all back. And became the 3-time?
Yeah, we called our shop, man. I got a Letterman's jacket, put 3XSC on
You
it.
did it before. You put it out there.
2 years before. After I
No
won
way.
state one time, I put it on my jacket. And I talk all the time about calling your shot. We don't do this enough, brother. You and I both know, especially as adults, we leave dreams like at the front porch.
Yeah.
We leave dreams at the front porch, brother. And we do not call it out. We don't. But you go to the biggest colleges, the biggest pro teams that are actually making moves in the country, the biggest companies in the world, and not even the biggest, but the most lethal companies, the dangerous companies, the companies that are just like heavy in purpose. You walk in, you'll see it. There's signs, man. There's signs. Penn State, one of the most it's a powerhouse. The coaches are here from Utah, the Sanderson brothers, Kel and Cody Sanderson. They're killing it, winning national titles. I guarantee you, way before the national title in 2026, you'll go in their wrestling room and it will say, probably in the year 2025, 2026 NCAA Division I National Championship.
Wow.
National champions. Our internal self-talk happens when we help it happen. But we ain't machines.
Yeah.
We like to think we are, but we are people of habit. Well, what's the habit? The habit is to see it everywhere. I tell people when I speak, it better be just shy of you tattooing it on your forehead if you want to achieve it. Why? Because you see it, number one. And then second, and probably even just as important, other people see it.
Yeah.
Christ, 12 apostles knew exactly what the goal was.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing, folks. Let's go. We got these. We got this bread. We got this. We got a little bit of fish. This is what we're doing. And they're like, what? But he called the shot. We're creating action. Now go do it.
Yeah.
And they jumped in. And they saw it happening. So I was just speaking in Texas a couple days ago. And there's a company, there's tons of companies in the, Delta was in there, and all these huge companies. And the company that brought me out are in 40 different countries. And they sit me down after, they're like, we have this dinner right in the middle of, they rented out the Alamo. It was incredible. Right in the, I felt like a cowboy. It was awesome. And we have this big cater thing, and I'm at this table with the owner. I'm like, so what's the shot, brother? The guy's name is Brian. I'm like, Brian, what's the shot? After I just spoke. He's like, man, I'm fired up. He's like, in the next couple of years, we're going to be in 80 countries. I said, cool. Don't tell me you're in 79 right now. He's like, we're in 40. I said, you're going to double? He's like, yeah. I'm like, call the shot, baby.
That's awesome.
The cool thing was everyone around his table heard it.
Huh.
He spoke it. And now it's a matter of how strong his team is to support him and call it their own.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
different.
Yeah.
That's different,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
When they call it their own, then they go out
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, these fish and these loaves, we got enough. This is what we did. It's not just, oh yeah, he said we could just, no, we have enough. Take what you need.
Yeah.
I'm going on to the next person. Take what you need. We got enough. We'll make it happen. When you call the shot and then you buy in, that's different,
It's awesome.
right? And so that's fun to see
That is
people
good.
do that.
What's your shot right now? What are you calling?
I think I told you a little bit before. I've called my shot as I've gotten into speaking more and more. I've been on stages with like rad, world-changing people. And when I talk with them, it's not just the light stuff. Like I ask them, and this is why I want to be on stage with them. To check a box is fun, but to meet them and hear how they function is different.
Yeah.
So I've been on stage. I called my shot with Ed Milet. He was on stage. Dude, I literally messaged
I
him.
remember you saying.
I said, yo. And then I spoke on stage with him, and I told him. He's like, no way. And
It's awesome.
I've the one I want to do next that I will do. I will do. I'll be on stage with Tony Robbins because he like started my self healing journey.
Yeah.
And so when I'm on stage with him and saying my own positive self-talk in his presence, that's going to be powerful.
Amazing.
That's going to be powerful. But when I'm with them, it's not just to check the box. That's cool though.
Yeah.
Some goals are just that.
Right.
Like to hit a world record, check the box.
Right.
But it's the journey to get there. Like when I'm with these individuals, like I was just with Tim Tebow. I've spoken on stage with him quite a few times.
It's awesome.
And he talks so openly about God, just like we do. I love it. But when I'm with him, it's cool that if you have a little bit of time to say, hey, Tim, like, what is it that you and your wife talk about when you guys argue? Like, what does pillow talk sound like? What are the things that you're working on to buoy each other up? How do you build a relationship with your teenager in such a crazy world? Does that make sense?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like, do you give them a curfew, or is it all trust? Do you allow them a budget? When do you start bringing them into your business? How much screen time do you allow them? Like, but you're asking someone that is making an impact.
Yeah. And you're asking them about connection. In what I'm hearing from you is it's how do I make my relationships count? How do I create connections that conquer?
Yeah.
How do I not just like, okay, I'm a fanboy, I get to be in your presence and check the box. It's just really cool. But no, help me understand how to conquer more in life myself through your own experience, right? And not a lot of people are brave enough to do that. It's just enough to check the box, if they can even check the box, you know? But then I love your ambition to go and be intentional with those relationships, really connect. And that's where the magic happens. I love that.
And they want to.
They do. Anyone that, what I've found in life definitely is that people are most powerfully positioned to serve the person they once were. And they want to serve that person.
Yeah.
If especially they're guided by that light and that spirit of Christ that you're talking about, where it's not enough for them to just be doing this for themselves, but they look back, they lift as they go, and they rise highest because of that, right?
Yeah. To get to that point, it can be really lonely.
Yeah.
It's many Garden of Gethsemane experiences where you have to step away. You have to go up into the mountains per se. And that's the beauty, though, is you get to choose to battle those moments and test this. And so when you come back, it just makes sense to give, it makes sense to pour into. And I love asking what their shot is. And an easy way to say that is, what are you most excited about in something that you've never, like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised what the answers are.
Yeah.
because sometimes when they have all the money that they ever will need, there's some. I was talking with a guy who had over $1 billion. He literally sat back. He said, "True connection with my kids."
Wow.
Yeah, and to think that the $1 billion doesn't get that.
Yeah. Doesn't provide it.
Yeah, you can't buy that
Yeah,
connection.
you can't. Wow, that's powerful. Tell me about your connection with your wife. How did you guys meet? How did that come about? Tell us a little bit about being a father and a husband and what that's meant to you.
So she reached out to me in college. I knew her because she ran track.
Okay.
At
Where
U-
were you at
At
college?
Utah Valley
Utah Valley,
University.
yeah.
And I wrestled. And so, and
This is after being a 3-time state champion
Yeah.
at Beaumont High School.
Yep.
Now you're on a full ride, I'm assuming, down at UVU.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we go out there, and it was easy to spot my wife because she had an identical twin sister.
Oh, okay.
And so she's from a small town in Duchesne, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just knew of each other. She reached out on social media when it was pretty new. And she said, "Hey, I just want to be your friends or whatever." And I responded back, "Hey, me and my buddies are going to be hanging out. Do you want to come and hang out?" And she responded back, and this is how I knew like she was the real deal. She said, "Well, is this a date or are we just hanging out?" And she wanted to know her boundaries, right? And I said, "Oh, freak. What do I say?"
What is this?
I was like, am I going to call my shot or what? And I said, "This is definitely a date." And she beat me in racquetball. And I didn't know if I loved her or if I hated her. I'm like, holy cow, who is this girl?
That's awesome.
And she was competitive. She got it. She understood that mentality. This was the difference with her. When she came to me and she saw what I was shooting towards, and I saw what she was shooting towards, we decided, you're going somewhere, whether I'm on this path or not with you. I just want to be on the path with you. That was powerful.
That's awesome.
So many people, hopefully this hits home to people who are watching, who are looking for that significant other. You don't get what you want, ever. You don't get your dreams. You get what you are. You don't get your high lofty goals. You get the standards you live in faith, family, fitness, finance, in how you live your life, in fun, and if it's fulfilling. And I knew that I couldn't be way overweight, a complete slob, never shower, and then get a woman that was, didn't do that. Right? We get what we are. I can't tell people that enough. I have so many friends coming into college and they're like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a level 10, baby." I'm like, well, try putting deodorant on first and brush your teeth every other day, at least.
Every other.
Right? So here's the thing. It's so important that we realize we got to choose us. Focus on us. It ain't selfish. It's self-mastery. And you will attract those. And you will be attracted to that too. But you want a 10, you better be at least a 10 or 11.
Yeah.
It's way easier to attract someone less than you.
Yeah.
And I remember when I found her, and I felt like she was way above me. And it felt great when she felt that we were both reaching to a higher spot, per se.
That's awesome.
That's a great relationship.
Yeah.
This is who my wife is. And this will sum up a little bit of how powerful she is. We would get married. We'd go to bed together and pray. And then we'd pillow talk. And then we'd go to sleep. It was after the prayer and going to sleep that would be the magic. This pillow talk many times would consist of this. This would be way before Utah Valley University ever had an All-American. There'd never been one. It was just like in high school and junior high, where like I was kind of setting the path.
Yeah.
It's tough when there's not like a lighthouse in
Yeah.
front of you. You're like, how do I do this? But I also love that, right? One of my challenges. I love the opportunity to conquer something. One of my favorite quotes is, 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I chose the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The road more traveled by, boring for me. I just don't get excited with that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, give me the shit. Like, let me chop it down. Let's freaking go. That's me. I love that. Now, my wife would lean over to me as I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and she'd grab my chest and pull me over and look at me in the eyes. She says, Ben, I am so lucky to be laying next to Utah Valley University's first ever All-American.
Wow.
I'm like, babe, Nationals isn't till next year. And she said, exactly. She got it, man.
I love that.
When you find someone that pours into you and gives you hope, when hope is hard to find sometimes, you keep that person. What a gift. That's who my wife is.
That's amazing. Incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And I would say for those listening, if you're not that to your spouse, do everything possible to be that for your spouse. It just probably doesn't happen enough. And I have that type of spouse as well. And when I felt like a failure in life and I wasn't providing and I couldn't provide, and there was never anything out of her mouth or in her actions or anything that would make me feel anything less than this man that she loved, and never a failure in her eyes, And so I've been so grateful for her, and you've had that as well. Tell me about being a father. You and your wife, you've had a journey to get to that point, and that's one of the moments in your story that I'm just like, oh, this is, the ups and downs of it all, and then the victory. Tell us a little bit about that.
Victory is, again, not a paved road. And man, there are lumps and there's setbacks, and it's not this. It's like, wah, 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 wah. The path to our victory has been so radical, and it's been so trying. And it started by telling my wife that half of my kids, potentially 50% chance, would have Crouzon syndrome. And me just giving it to her as, you would need to buy in. This is not a one-sided thing. This is definitely, I need you to know that. And her coming up to me and say, after like solid, she's such a good researcher, so intelligent, and she did her research. And it's scary. You type in Crouzon syndrome online, it's brutal. And she came back, I'll never forget, sitting on pins and needles. I'm like, man. This was before we were even married.
Okay.
I wanted to let her know. She said, Ben, who better to raise kids with Crouzon syndrome than us? I'm like, I said, are you kidding me? And that's who the type of person she is.
Wow.
So we went forward, try to have kids naturally, and for whatever reason we couldn't. Okay. Doctors are just like, all right, let's try IVF. We got to help you do this. 4 IVF cycles, 2 miscarriages, a boy and a girl, 2 failed adoptions after funding a mom for 8 months.
Wow.
Her taking her last paycheck and sending an email saying, hey, I'm keeping the baby.
Wow.
I'm like, and then putting another child for adoption, and finding that same mom placed that same baby with 3 families and was triple dipping, and then she disappeared with our money.
Wow.
And then choosing, I remember that night looking up to God, be like, God, this is a joke, right? My wife pounding on my chest and just bawling, be like, why us? And being angry. Yeah. I was angry. And in the moment of that, just like junk and being a victim, And this was 6 years ago.
Okay.
And I'll never forget that night. Never forget that night. It was the end of January. February 1st, actually. And raising my fist at God. And the next morning, getting a call. And the call went like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Kjar, you there? Yeah. Okay, your wife's there too. Yeah, hold on. Speakerphone. Yeah, what's up? Hey, we've heard your story. Heard about the miscarriages. We apologize. By the way, there's a boy that was just born last night, February 1st. In the midst of our anger, in the midst of looking up to God, saying, what are you doing? He's up there. Just wait. I'll show you what I'm doing. And when there was a death in all of our hope, he had created a birth. And do you want to be parents? 15 hours later, we're on a plane. And we didn't just adopt one. We found out a few days later that there would be a girl 20 minutes away from another mom that would be placed with us.
Wow.
And so the message is this. You're going to shake your hands at God. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying just be aware of what he's doing. It's normal to be angry. It's human.
Yeah.
It's not inhumane to be angry. What's inhumane is acting inhumane after that. February 1st, I about cut the other ear off, bro.
Yeah.
I about took that sword and went for the other one. And God was teaching me a lesson, man. And because I had 2 miscarriages and because we had 2 failed adoptions, we were able to adopt Liam, my oldest boy. And while we were there, we were able to adopt Rowan, which is 5 days younger than Liam. And because all of that happened on purpose, by design, 13 months later, we were able to adopt Liam's full blood brother.
Wow. Amazing.
And you wonder why. And I tell you what, like, none of this we ever planned to share with anybody, but it went viral. We put it on YouTube, 85 million or so views through all the platforms. To this day, we have people that watch the adoption reveal and the placement.
Yeah.
And they said, I just need you to know, I'm from Ireland or wherever. I just need you to know that I was going to have an abortion until I watched your video. I want you to know that I love my little baby boy. Thanks for sending this. I never knew I could have so much love for a child until I watched your video. Or I was going to have an abortion, and instead, I never knew there could be so much love for my child. I decided to place him for an adoption. Bro, at the end of the day, it's this. We all have chances in our life to choose to fit in and not shine and not flex who God chose us to be. We can choose to be a victim and not a victor. Or we can choose to defy the odds. Say, oh yeah, you don't think I can do it? Watch me. Fight for light and choose to shine that light. Be the lighthouse that God can absolutely reflect to his people on the crazy waves of life that we have and the crazy storms. And be the one that's not perfect, but be one that freaking shows up imperfectly, but keep showing up. Everyone says, oh, all you have to do is get up 8 times. When you fall down 7, it's actually even easier than that. You literally only have to get up 7 times if you fall 7. They make it sound you have to be perfect. You have to get up way more. No, you just have to show up again. And I always say, be disobedient to average. And in times, right after this, we're going to go, and we're probably going to go against the clock. Usually we put on a clock and we do a certain amount of reps in a lot of workouts that I do. all I say is all I have to do is quit second.
Mm.
And in life, it's usually that.
Mm.
I just have to quit second. Life, I just have to wait till it quits. And then that means I survive. That means I conquered it. My coach would always say, all right, you got to never give up. And that's hard when you're in the midst of just crap.
Yeah.
But what if you don't have to never give up? What if that's just too much sometimes? What if that seems inhumane? I'm human. I can't do that. I will then just outlast the clock.
Yeah.
That's it. Just give up second in this trial.
I love it.
Let the cycle of this trial run out of time. Just give up second. And you'd be surprised at how far that gets you, man.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. You're incredible, Ben. I don't know. There's some other things I'd like to ask you, but yeah, I'm going to ask you one last question here in just a minute. I want to ask that, but you shared the story about Jesus and the ear being cut off, and the other. I think that story, as you're sharing it, it brings to me what he says after. It's like a testament of himself. He's bearing witness of his own power and strength. He says, "Do you not know that I could right now command legions of angels to come down and smite you?" But instead, he doesn't. He heals the man. So we have a choice, and what I watch in your life is that you've had choices to make, and we can choose to be the victim or we can choose to be the victor. And every day at Mountain Ops, when we have a new employee start, I give them a pair of shoes, and I say the choices you make and the shoes you wear today will determine the shoes you wear tomorrow. And it's whether you're going to be a victim or a victor, whether you're going to have responsibilities, opportunities, blessings added upon you and new shoes, or taken away because you've quit first. And I just look at your life, and I look at the wonders that God has done in your life, but how he's doing that for others because of your life. And I was just down in South Africa. We spoke about that, and I was with people that were living in landfills, and they were making their houses out of the garbage that they had there, this and that. And then we went to a school where there was these needy children that have been placed in this school. They're now teenagers, but they haven't had mothers and fathers like you. They haven't had a mother that sat them in front of the mirror and said, "Look at you. You were born to stand out." They didn't have any of that positive reinforcement. They didn't know Jesus Christ. They didn't have that kind of influence in their life. They didn't have a father that they ran into that was in his room, praying to God and vocally calling upon the powers of heaven in a time of need. And there was this girl that was sharing all this. This is her life. Very different upbringing than you and I. And she ended it with, "But God is doing wonders in my life." And I look at your life and I just think, what an incredible work and a wonder that he is doing and performing through you, and the light that you are to others. I say all that just to thank you for choosing the better path, to choosing the path not taken, by others. It inspires me to want to do more and to be more. And I know that our listeners will feel the same. I want to ask one last question, then maybe ask if we could, the question that I typically end with comes from a book called How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. It's one of my favorites. We've read it here at Mountain Ops multiple times. And I want to ask you that. And when all is said and done, as a conqueror in life, how will you measure your life? And then after you answer that question, I'm wondering if can we end with your chant? Can we share that with the world, with the Mountain Ops community, because it is so powerful. I think I don't know when you started doing that publicly or live, but I remember seeing it once, and at first I was like, huh? Like, I've never seen anything like this. And now every time I hear and see you do that, I'm like, I was telling Ben, there's this kind of walk that he does on the stage back and forth, and then he kind of hops, and it's almost like you're going to box someone. And I was watching you do that live, and I was in my garage, and I was like bouncing back and forth like, yes, I'm ready for this. Let's go. So maybe if you can just answer that question, and then we'll do your chant and close it out.
I hope my life gets measured by the amount of intense moments I have with people. What I mean by that is I had a mission president tell me when I was afraid to leave my family to speak. And I said, I'm afraid to leave on what I feel like is God's calling for me. And he said this. He said, Ben, people talk about quantity is quality, but when God calls you, you may not always get the quantity. So I'm going to tell you that God is going to bless you with intense moments. I was selfishly asking for my kids, but I quickly realized that I'm going to be able to have very intense moments, though they may be few, with a lot of people, with God's kids, right? And so I just pray, man, because it's freaky, and I'm stepping into that as I choose to go where God wants me to be, it's taken away from my quantity of time with my kids. And I don't take that lightly, because I've seen the billionaires, I've seen the people that all they want is to buy relationships back, and they can't.
Yeah.
And so I pray that at the end of the day, that my moments with my own kids and that with God's kids are intense enough to make an impact and leave a mark. And if my life is measured in a quantity of those moments, I think that will be a good thing.
That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible. Love that perspective. And yeah, God's kids need you, man. They need what you have to offer, and it's a gift. Your life is a gift. Your story is a gift, and the ability to help others conquer more in their own lives. They'll bless your name forever for it. So let's do that chant. Is that okay?
Heck yeah.
Heck
yeah.
I don't know how we do it in here with this, but I mean, we can get loud and rowdy so that the whole office hears it, or we can, or you can just share it. You tell me what you want to do.
Let me share it. What I want to do is, when I speak, through my speech, I talk about why I use each thing.
Okay.
And I think that's important to
Good.
me. And it's a journey, so that when people, because if I come and we have a group of people here, and I'm like, all right, will you repeat after me? And they'll be like, yeah,
Yeah, because they don't understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no feeling behind it. But you'll see, like, these people I get in front of, they're like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, how are they bought into this? This is, because not everybody is willing to do that. It's
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
for me to do it. Like, trust me, if I could just end and just be like, walk off the stage, it'd be like, all day, easy. But it's not the same. It's not the same. These people feel like they just woken something up inside their soul. And this is why. Because I say, now I choose me. And once they realize what that means, like I defined, buy into you, flex you in the most intentional and genuine way. And that means you're going to step out from behind that bushel and just shine, baby. I make a difference. Because my mom told me in that story, Ben, you're born different, so you're born to make a difference. And then she shared with me, and in that difference, you're going to choose to fight for light. And so I say, I make a difference. I fight for light. There's a lot of stuff that we can fight for. But when you choose to fight to be the light for other people, you're a warrior of light, man. And I say, I ignite extraordinary, because in my life, with no ordinary, from birth, with no ordinary chance, or no chance of living ordinary, I chose to ignite that fire inside of me to choose extraordinary. And so I say that, and people get that, because in their life, there's some type of extraordinary. And we ain't born to fit in, man. So be willing to be crazy. Be willing to be called out. Just like Jesus was. He was a renegade. He was a rebel of anything normal, right? So I ignite extraordinary. Next thing I say is, I am a victor. I am a victor, because we choose to be a victim or a victor in life. And then I say, defy the odds. Defy the odds. Because everyone's going to be willing to say what you can't do. And then when you call it out, which I encourage people to do, and it's not to be cocky, it's to be absolutely confident in what God gave you. And to get the people around you to buy into that.
Mm.
And so they hold you accountable. So when you're playing low, when you're playing a wussy game, in other words, they're like, bro, I know your goal and I'm here for you. And you know theirs too.
Yeah.
So it ain't just like one-sided story, right? It's both
Love it.
buoying each other up. And then I say, now watch me. Now watch me. Because doctor said, Ben, you ain't going to be able to wrestle. You know that. I'm like, you know that. But watch me.
Yeah,
Watch me
awesome.
win a world title. Watch me accomplish these things. And then I say, I was born to stand out. Because once you decide that you are absolutely meant to be different, not fit in, and stand out, your desire to live a higher level changes.
Mm.
And your thought about what other people think doesn't matter as much anymore.
Yeah.
It totally changes your paradigm shift about, oh, am I going to do this? People don't care about failing. They care about having people know that they failed.
It's
Right?
true. So true.
If nobody knew that we failed, oh my gosh, it would be all day, right? Swinging for the fences.
So true.
Everybody wants to hit the home run,
Yep.
but it's striking out in front of everybody.
Mm.
That's hard. And then at the end, I say, stand out, stand out, stand out. And people at that point realize, after we've gone through this journey, I'm going to buy into standing out.
Mm.
And then they leave. And it's not just energy. It's a movement
Yeah.
of who they can become, and then calling it out within themselves, and then becoming it.
It's amazing. Thank you, Ben. I think what you do is you awaken the divine within individuals to stand out with that divine. I love you, brother. I'm so grateful you spent this time with us. I know people will be blessed by your words, and all of God's children around the world. You're traveling all over. That those intense moments are going to be so well worth it. And appreciate you so much. Thanks
God
for
bless
being
you,
here.
brother. Thanks for having me.